Our verse today is from Luke's Gospel, chapter 19, verse 35. They brought the colt to Jesus, and throwing their garments on it, they set Jesus upon it. This verse is taken from the episode of Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. All the Gospels report this event: Matthew 21, 1-11, Mark 11, 1-10, and John 12, 12-15. As Jesus was on his final journey to Jerusalem, he sent two of his disciples to the village ahead of him to bring a colt which he needed for the journey. The evangelist does not imply that a disciple owned the colt and that Jesus already ordered it or arranged with its owners. He knows beforehand what will happen because God is with him and God directs what will happen. The colt is either a young horse or a young male ass, and then the reference to a colt that has not been ridden is fitting for Jesus. It serves as a mode of transportation fit for a king. However, he did not enter with a horse as kings do while going to war, because he is not like earthly kings. He is a righteous king whose business is to save humanity with his life and not by war. Some features of Luke's story call for our close attention and reflection. 1. The journey to Jerusalem involved Jesus and his disciples. 2. The disciples brought the colt to Jesus and threw their cloaks on it. 3. The disciples placed Jesus on the colt, and then the disciples called him the King who comes in the name of the Lord. What can we learn from this episode as Luke presents it? The evangelist shows us that the disciples were effective companions of Jesus until the final moment, and that the followers of Jesus honored and praised him. Again, the disciples were not among the group that turned cold and later called for Jesus' crucifixion. Though the disciples did not fully understand his messiahship, they are not the people who sing praise and shall crucify him the same week. This does not mean that disciples had reached clear understanding and maturity, as some of them would fail in the coming week's events. However, the evangelist presents them as models because they accompanied Jesus through his ministry and unto his passion. Another important thing the evangelist presents in this episode is a concern raised by the Pharisees as the disciples were hailing Jesus. They said, "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." Luke 19:39. Whatever be their reason for this concern, whether good or bad, the response of Jesus is our take home. He says, "If these were silent, the stones would cry out." Luke 19:40. In other words, some things must be spoken, whether we like it or not. The disciples express what is ultimately and finally true, that God will provide witness even if every mouth is closed or stopped. This means that opposition to Jesus and the Christian truth cannot succeed. The truth will always prevail, and the voice that speaks the truth of the gospel cannot be silenced forever. On Passion Sunday, Christians like the disciples are expected to accompany Jesus in the journey of his last days, his passion and death. So we are expected to bring the colt upon which Jesus will ride, and more importantly, we are to spread not merely our cloaks or palm branches for him, but also offer him our selfless sacrifice, dedication, commitment, and faithfulness. As we begin the activities of Holy Week, may God give us the grace to be faithful followers of Jesus in his passion, so that we may share in the joy of the resurrection. Amen. God bless you, and I wish you a happy and wonderful Holy Week celebration.